When I go to make segments, I always draw the cylinder that I want, and then I calculate, am I going to need this wide? If I go this wide, I'm not going to actually in thin pieces be able to get a circle, so I need to divide this once more. So this degree is 22.5 and this is 11.25. Now I'm working in even increments, because what I've done is I've drawn a line, I've squared it, I took a compass and went like this, and it gave me that line right there. I drew a line through here, I went around and did that everywhere. So I bisected the angle, and from doing that, I'm doing even numbers, but there's no reason you can't segment in, odd degrees and thirds. This is just easy for me. I'm just utilizing wood. I'm not trying to get some amazing pattern, but I do need the pieces small enough so that when they go together, I'm almost at a circle, so I'm not spending a lot of time turning that I don't need to. So I know that I'm at 11.25. And I have this great gadget that I love called an eye gauge. So the way I find it is I go like this, and I can find 11.25 and just spend a lot of time getting it perfect. And then I know it's 11.25, and I come to my chop saw and I set it up in this direction. Now, I've already done that. So once I've done it once, I save the piece so that I can use it over and over to just set on the saw and set up the blade. You need zero clearance. You need a board on the bottom that's pretty wide. And so I know I'm at 11.25, but I'm always going to do a test run of 16 pieces and put them together to make sure that I'm actually at the right angle. I need this board that's sitting down here on the saw kind of wide so I can cut into it, but I'm not going to cut through it. So there's my zero clearance, which is really going to help when I cut to not get a lot of fluffy edges on pieces. I also have a lot of teeth on my blade. I've set my blade so I know it's perfectly square to this board. So I know I'm going to get a 90 degree to the board, and then I'm 11.25 at an angle. So I've spent a lot of time setting this up nice, and so I know it's going to turn out great. I measured this measurement down here. And so that measurement is 2.25 inches. So I'm going to take one of the pieces that I'm going to cut, and I'll cut the end of it, or cut the ends of one end of all of them is actually a great thing to do. I like to leave the blade down in as it slows down, so that you don't lift the piece off the table as you're coming back out. And so now I'm going to measure 2.25, which I can do from this side of my eye gauge. And I'm going to put a mark right there. So I want to think about how this is going to cut. This angle is going to come away from me, so I want this angle like this. So I want the measurement to be on this top surface, so that I don't have to flip around or carry lines. So I'm just going to be at about 2.25 right there. Okay, now I'm going to set this here onto the table. Bring the blade down so I can see it's just touching that piece right there. And I'm going to set up a stop. Something nice and wide like this. I'm going to put a piece right here and clamp it in. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, the stick. Now this stick is going to save your hands. I'm going to put it dead center where I'm cutting. You can't see it, but I'm going to make sure my piece is tight up to here. I'm going to put my hand out in this direction. I'm going to push the pressure down and back. I'm going to let go and let it stop in the piece so that I know that I'm not going to lift it up off the board, and it's going to give me this little piece. Now, I'm going to first test it to this, set it down, and say, is that fit? And it's pretty good fit, actually. So I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to go cut. Okay, so I have the pieces that I want right here. And what I like to do is I just cut around with a mat knife this tape into these little thin strips. And I put it here on the table. And I turn under this side like this so that I can stretch this out on the table like this. Now I've already done this to this one. So this one is my test piece, and my test piece is already done, so I know I'm good. So I'm just going to get ready here I'm putting these on. And what I'm trying to do is keep the tape in the middle, so the top and the bottom does not have any overhang of tape. That'll make it very easy to flatten it to. I actually have a thickness sander I'm going to run it through. But before I had a thickness sander, I would flatten each layer on the lathe. So the flatter it is, the easier it is to mount it on the lathe and hold it. So, and I'm going to put something down flat like this, and I'm going to just make sure that's sitting flat. If I need to, I'm going to add a board. The same thickness, and then I might get something else to weigh it down here so I can make sure this is sitting nice and flat while it dries. All right, and I'm just going to leave that to dry. As a production woodworker, you just learn once everything in the setup takes forever. So while you're set up, you might as well just cut as many pieces as you can, so that you don't have to do that setup again, right? So I only want 3 layers. I'm going to run these through a thickness sander. All right, so I've run these pieces through the thickness sander, and they're nice and smooth on all surfaces. Brush the dust off. All right, so I'm ready to glue. Okay, wiggling it till I feel it start to set, and now I'm just going to look over here and just kind of align the tips of the outward pieces. Just get it evened out to make sure I'm not overhanging in one place more than another. And it looks pretty good. So I have no glue on the surface, so I'm just going to put scrap boards on here. And then I have these weights that are these. And then I'm just going to leave it like that. And I always leave it overnight before I turn it.